Hello, welcome back. Let's try finish reading the Tesla Autopilot. That was really long. So it's 11:30. I'd like to read more Tesla later today. So I have it open here. Let's try to lower the speakers to 41. No, 42 level. Lower the speakers a little bit. But I have to read it again. I have to read it again in the future, but not now because I have so much. Now I forgot my can of tomatoes. I use this can of tomatoes to my camcorder. Yes, I need to check my cell phone. Its power is 51, so I need to charge it later today or tomorrow.
The Autopilot functionality, 477. The NTSB announced it would also investigate all aspects of this crash, including the driver's previous concerns about the Autopilot. 478. A NTSB spokesman stated the organization is unhappy with the release of investigative information by Tesla. 479. Elon Musk dismissed the criticism, tweeting that NTSB was an advisory body and that Tesla releases critical crash data affecting public safety immediately and always will. To do otherwise would be unsafe. 480. In response, NTSB removed Tesla as a party to the investigation on April 11. 481. NTSB released a preliminary report on the 7th of June, 2018. Which provided the recorded telemetry of the Model X and the factual details. Autopilot was engaged continuously for almost 19 minutes prior to the crash. In the minute before the crash, the driver's hands were detected on the steering wheel for 34 seconds in total, but his hands were not detected for the 6 seconds immediately preceding the crash. 7 seconds before the crash, the Tesla began to steer to the left and was following a lead vehicle. 4 seconds before the crash, the Tesla was no longer following a lead vehicle, and during the 3 seconds before the crash, the Tesla's speed increased to 70.8 mph, 113.9 km per hour. The driver was wearing a seat belt and was pulled from the vehicle before it was engulfed in flames. 482. The crash attenuator had been previously damaged on the 12th of March and had not been replaced at the time of the Tesla crash. 482. The driver involved in the accident on the 12th of March collided with the crash attenuator at more than 75 miles per hour, 121 kilometers per hour, and was treated for minor injuries. In comparison, the driver of the Tesla collided with the collapsed attenuator at a slower speed and died from blunt force trauma. After the accident on the 12th of March, The California Highway Patrol failed to report the collapsed attenuator to Caltrans as required. Caltrans was not aware of the damage until the 20th of March, and the attenuator was not replaced until the 26th of March because a spare was not immediately available. 483.14 This specific attenuator had required repair more often than any other crash attenuator in the Bay Area, and maintenance records indicated that repair of this attenuator was delayed by up to 3 months after being damaged. 483.45 As a result, the NTSB released a safety recommendation report on the 9th of September, 2019, asking Caltrans to develop and implement a plan to guarantee timely repair of traffic safety hardware. 484 At a NTSB meeting held on the 25th of February, 2020, the board concluded the crash was caused by a combination of the limitations of the Tesla Autopilot system, the driver's over-reliance on Autopilot, and driver distraction likely from playing a video game on his phone. The vehicle's ineffective monitoring of driver engagement was cited as a contributing factor, and the inoperability of the crash attenuator contributed to the driver's injuries. 485 As an advisory agency, NTSB does not have regulatory power. However, NTSB made several recommendations to two regulatory agencies. The NTSB recommendations to the NHTSA included expanding the scope of the new car assessment program to include testing of forward collision avoidance systems, determining if the ability to operate Tesla Autopilot-equipped vehicles outside the intended operation or design domain pose an unreasonable risk to safety, and developing driver monitoring system performance standards. The NTSB submitted recommendations to the OSHA relating to distracted driving awareness and regulation. In addition, NTSB issued recommendations to manufacturers of portable electronic devices to develop lockout mechanisms to prevent driver distracting functions, and to Apple, banning the non-emergency use of portable electronic devices while driving. 486 Several NTSB recommendations previously issued to NHTSA and Tesla were reclassified to open unacceptable response. These included H17-41, 487, recommendation to Tesla to incorporate system safeguards that limit the use of automated vehicle control systems to design conditions, and H17-42, 488, recommendation to Tesla to more effectively sense the driver's level of engagement. 486, Kanagawa, Japan, the 29th of April, 2018. On the 29th of April, 2018, a Tesla Model X operating on autopilot struck and killed a pedestrian in Kanagawa, Japan after the driver had fallen asleep. 489, according to a lawsuit filed against Tesla in federal court, MD Cal, in April 2020, the Tesla Model X accelerated from 24 to 38 km per hour, 15 to 24 miles per hour, after the vehicle in front of it changed lanes. It then crashed into a van, motorcycles, and pedestrians in the far right lane of the expressway, killing a 44-year-old man on the road directing traffic. 490, 491, 2, 9 The original complaint claims the accident occurred due to LX accident in Kanagawa, Japan. Flaws in Tesla's autopilot system, such as inadequate monitoring to detect inattentive drivers and an inability to handle traffic situations that drivers will almost always certainly encounter. 491, 34, 492. In addition, the original complaint claimed this is the first pedestrian fatality to result from the use of autopilot. 491, 1 According to vehicle data logs, the driver of the Tesla had engaged autopilot at 2:11 p.m. Japan Standard Time shortly after Entering the Mir Expressway. 491:11 The driver's hands were detected on the wheel at 2:22 p.m. 491:11 At some point before 2:49 p.m. the driver began to doze off, and at approximately 2:49 p.m. the vehicle ahead of the Tesla signaled and moved one lane to the left to avoid the vehicle stopped in the far right lane of the expressway. 491:11 While the Tesla was accelerating to resume its preset speed, it struck the man, killing him. 491:11 He belonged to a motorcycle riding club which had stopped to render aid to a friend that had been involved in an earlier accident. He specifically had been standing apart from the main group while trying to redirect traffic away from that earlier accident. 491:910 The driver of the Tesla was convicted in a Japanese court of criminal negligence and sentenced to 3 years in prison, suspended for 5 years. 493 The suit against Tesla in California was dismissed for forum nonconvenience by Judge Susan Van Keulen in September 2020 after Tesla said it would accept a case brought in Japan. 494 The plaintiffs appealed the dismissal to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in February 2021, 490, which upheld the lower court's dismissal. 495 Delray Beach, Florida, USA, the 1st of March 2019. L3 accident in Delray Beach, Florida at approximately 6:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the morning of the 1st of March 2019. A Tesla Model 3 driving southbound on US 441/SR7 in Delray Beach, Florida, struck a semi-trailer truck that was making a left-hand turn to northbound SR7 out of a private driveway at Perot Family Farms. The Tesla underrode the trailer, and the force of impact sheared off the greenhouse of the Model 3, resulting in the death of the Tesla driver. 496 The driver of the Tesla had engaged Autopilot approximately 10 seconds before the collision, and preliminary telemetry showed the vehicle did not detect the driver's hands on the wheel for the 8 seconds immediately preceding the collision. 497 The driver of the semi-trailer truck was not cited. 498 Both NHTSA and NTSB dispatched investigators to the scene. 499 500 According to telemetry recorded by the Tesla's restraint control module, the Tesla's cruise control was set to 69 miles per hour, 111 kilometers per hour, 12.3 seconds prior to the collision, and Autopilot was engaged 9.9 seconds prior to the collision. At the moment of impact, the vehicle speed was 68.3 miles per hour, 109.9 kilometers per hour. 501 After the crash and underride, the Tesla continued southbound on SR7 for approximately 1,680 feet, 510 m, before coming to rest in the median between the northbound and southbound lanes. 502 The car sustained extensive damage to the roof, windshield, and other surfaces above 3 feet 6 in, 1.07 m, the clearance under the trailer. Although the airbags did not deploy following the collision, the Tesla's driver remained restrained by his seat belt. Emergency response personnel were able to determine the driver's injuries were incompatible with life upon arriving at the scene. 503 In May 2019, the NTSB issued a preliminary report that determined that neither the driver of the Tesla or the autopilot system executed evasive maneuvers. 504 The circumstances of this crash were similar to the fatal underride crash of a Tesla Model S. In 2016 near Williston, Florida, in its 2017 report detailing the investigation of that earlier crash, NTSB recommended that autopilot be used only on limited access roads, i.e., freeway, 467.33 which Tesla did not implement. 505. The NTSB issued its final report in March 2020. 506. The probable cause of the collision was the truck driver's failure to yield the right of way to the Tesla. However, the report also concluded that no time before the crash did the car driver brake or initiate an evasive steering action. In addition, no driver applied steering wheel torque was detected for 7.7 seconds before impact, indicating driver disengagement, likely due to over-reliance on the autopilot